better move your ass. We are talking Land of Bad, directed by William Eubank, who also co-wrote this. Eubank, of course, directed the underwater science fiction horror Underwater. And this one has actually got a pretty good cast. Got Liam Hemsworth, Russell Crowe, Milo Ventimiglia and Luke Hemsworth. So this is kind of a behind enemy lines, kind of military porn style movie. Effectively, we have a small group of Delta Force that are going on a mission to rescue a CIA asset, and they are accompanied by a guy who is from a different unit, from an Air Force unit, who primarily works with kind of like technology and drones and things like that. And they are kind of being overwatched by Russell Crowe's character, who is a captain who has somewhat of a problem with authority. He's kind of a little bit of a wild card, and he's effectively piloting the drones that are watching this mission. Things go sideways. There's far more kind of bad guys than we are expecting, and effectively it's kind of an escape and evade style movie, primarily focusing on Liam Hemsworth's character. What will happen? You'll have to watch the movie and find out. So let's discuss. Okay, so this is, as I say, kind of military porn in many ways. It's lots of kind of explosions, lots of firefights. But I think the main thing about this movie is it's kind of showing you the evolution of modern military warfare. The reliance now on technology and how this has kind of changed the face of, you know, certainly kind of like on the ground combat. The way obviously these drone operators are effectively able to, you know, inform the soldiers on the ground about various kind of threats in the area, and indeed having strikes and things like that to kind of obviously support the soldiers on the ground. And that's the crux of this story. It's the relationship really between Liam Hemsworth's character on the ground and then kind of Russell Crowe's character, who is this kind of, he's been, you know, effectively looking over this kind of, this mission for like far past he should do, and you know, he's getting tired and things like that, but he won't sort of give up on this team and things. So it's an interesting, obviously, evolution of the kind of the war film, now dealing with this kind of this drone kind of technology and the marriage between kind of boots on the ground and obviously the technology that's kind of now supports it. So, you know, obviously it's the modern style of warfare, so to speak. So that was an interesting element to it. And there is plenty of action here, lots of explosions, lots of kind of firefights, and I have to say, somewhat stylized kind of direction here, with some kind of great kind of like, you know, set pieces and explosions and kind of stunt work, pyrotechnics and things like that. It's all very adrenaline fueled here. You know, we don't have too many kind of characters, so you feel like, you know, you're invested in this kind of team's kind of mission. They seem to have quite a good camaraderie. You know, Liam Hemsworth's character is kind of like the new guy, somewhat of a rookie. So the others are kind of playfully kind of teasing him and things like that, but you know that they'll have each other's backs and stuff, that kind of thing. So again, it's kind of showing you that kind of that bond between these kind of these soldiers and whatnot. And you know, obviously it's an escalating issue where these guys did not bargain on the amount of trouble that they're actually in. So obviously it's quite a kind of a tense and high octane movie in kind of many ways. And as I say, I think it was shot in Australia. Looks great. You know, lots of kind of like open kind of shots and wide angles and kind of, you know, good use of environments. You do get a sense of genuine danger, I think, from these guys, and you know, we kind of get some quite shocking scenes. There's a scene, for example, where really before it all sort of kicks off, we are shown these kind of our antagonists, and they kind of are beheading like this woman, for example. Pretty brutal. So, you know, it shows you this kind of like this brutality that is effectively kind of on the battlefield. I think everyone does a kind of a decent enough job. I wouldn't say this movie is going for realism exactly. It's somewhat of a it's like a popcorny kind of action movie, but it's not too out there, if that makes sense. It's kind of straggling between being somewhat of a military drama, but it's not like the realistic kind of depiction so much like you get in kind of Lone Survivor. It's more of a kind of a, as I say, a popcorny kind of action movie in some ways, but still having enough realism to kind of sort of keep you engaged and keep you kind of like invested. What doesn't work, I think the main thing with this this kind of movie is it's very much par for the course in regards to narrative. The story, as I say, is kind of a behind enemy lines, evade and escape style movie, but we've seen it done many times before. So this really doesn't feel particularly fresh in regards to story outside of having that element of technology in there, but the actual kind of nuts and bolts of the story, you know, Liam Hemsworth's boots on the ground character, you know, is something you have seen many kind of times before, and I don't think it's really kind of stands out in regards to narrative. I do think it airs on sillier times. You know, like again, this is not trying to be, I think, a realistic depiction of a military kind of mission. It is kind of more of that kind of action movie tropes, but still having one foot in a kind of like somewhat kind of like a believable kind of scenario. But there are a few moments here and there where I feel this movie borders on silly just once or twice. The Russell Crowe character, who is this drone pilot. Now, obviously, Crowe is an older actor now. He's not as fit as he once was, so he's not going to have an active role in the field, so to speak. But I felt like they had Russell Crowe and they wanted him to give him a lot of screen time, but didn't have much for him to do. So there's quite a lot of scenes here where it's Russell Crowe being a grumpy old boomer, is the best way I would kind of describe it. And it's like, there are scenes here that I just felt like they had him, they wanted to have him a good amount of screen time, but didn't have much for him to do. So they kind of have these scenes where he's basically kind of being a grumpy boomer. There you go. It's kind of funny, it's kind of endearing, but you're thinking, what am I watching? Considering what you know, what else is happening elsewhere in this kind of story. It's odd. But overall, I think this movie is an exciting, action-packed movie. If you like kind of military action movies, I think you can certainly do worse. I think you'll enjoy it. I think it's probably going to be a fun, one-time watch, but I don't think it's one you'd necessarily go back to anytime soon. But it is it's an exciting movie to watch, certainly at least once. I'll give it an above-average score. Do you know what? I'll give it a 7 out of 10, because I do feel, even though I think this movie has its shortcomings, for what it is, it's just a kind of like a movie you can enjoy. It's not particularly deep. Liam Hemsworth's character is a little bit of a kind of cliche newbie character, but it's still a 7 out of 10. It's a well put together film, but not spectacular. It's pretty good though. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Please do let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.